Happy Monday, faithful. Coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers Report, some Niners injury news. San Francisco making a couple of roster moves as reinforcements on the way for this defense. And we have some more Niners updates to get to, including what is the future of Brandon Aiyuk. It's all coming up right now. Hang out with us. This is the 49ers Report. And today's show is sponsored by Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping on the best men's grooming products. 9 million men worldwide have purchased products from Manscaped. Get involved. Get in the game. Manscaped.com/49ers. 20% off and free shipping. Let's begin with this. San Francisco's new trade chip, Chase Young, making his debut at Niners practice. San Francisco coming off the bye. According to reports, him and his former Ohio State teammate Nick Bosa actually spent the week in Santa Clara during the bye week, getting prepared for this game against Jacksonville and getting Chase Young's feet wet as far as just understanding the nuances of this defense and getting acclimated with this new team. Chase Young wore number 99 with Washington. That is taken up right now by Javon Kinlaw. So Chase Young going to rock the 92 as far as this Niner jersey goes. From Chase Young to a couple of reinforcements being on the horizon for the San Francisco 49ers defense. Today, officially, the practice windows opened up for defensive lineman Robert Beal, the late-round pick out of Georgia, edge rusher with a lot of speed, Darrell Luter Jr., fifth-round pick out of South Alabama, really good instincts on the football, had a really good Niners rookie minicamp, and then has been injured since then. And then Samuel Womack, the second-year man, cornerback, can play outside and inside. His practice window opened up as well. That does mean that these players could return against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but now San Francisco has 21 days to elevate them to the active roster. As far as what this means for the Niners here, we've talked so much about how this secondary needs to play better. It's not tied right now and linked up with that pass rush. That has caused some problems. San Francisco has struggled to hold up in coverage, and going into the trade deadline, so many conversations about the Niners maybe adding a cornerback. They did not. They traded for Chase Young. So now it's up for this defensive line to get home, and it's up for the secondary to hold up in coverage. So when you think about what these moves mean, for Beal, hamstring injury has kept him out since August. That is defensive line depth. But now that you brought in Randy Gregory as well as Chase Young, I highly doubt that we're going to see a lot from Robert Beal. As for Darrell Luter Jr. and Samuel Womack, Luter suffered a bone bruise before training camp. A lot of expectations for this kid going into the season. Hasn't done anything since that point in July. And then Samuel Womack, placed on IR in September with an MCL injury, showed flashes in the preseason, was really playing well throughout training camp last year. I really liked him as a guy who had a knack for making plays on the football. He did that at college. So too did Darrell Luter Jr. So you're having two guys potentially being added to the secondary who can hunt the football. Should we expect an impact from these players? San Francisco could certainly use Darrell Luter Jr. as well as Samuel Womack because of the aforementioned struggles with that secondary, especially in the slot. And with the Niners sitting at 5-3, this is why I've said this on my show. I went on with Larry Krueger on Friday, and I did say, look, I think San Francisco has the answers for some of their issues inside the building. And I know that this 3-game losing streak has been lackluster. It's been ugly. It's been frustrating because of the sloppy play, missing tackles, premium players not living up to the premium dollars that they are getting paid, but not all is bad in Ninerland, right? Their offense averaging the 4th most points in football, 27 points per game. Yards per game is still at number 4. Yards per play, number 2. Third down percentage, still top 5 in the NFL. And their red zone percentage, they are scoring touchdowns when they get inside the 20-yard line, the 5th best rate among all teams in the NFL. And then defensively, the third down percentage and the red zone percentage, not great. But there's room to build upon, being 4th in points per game, 9th in yards per game, and 11th in yards per play. You get after the quarterback, and the entire complexion of this Niners defense does change, and what it allows the secondary to do, hunt after the football. They don't have to hold up in coverage as long. Now, San Francisco does have that's about Brandon Aiyuk, which we'll get to a little bit later. You talk about the bye week changes for San Francisco. Hopefully, we don't see any more of Isaiah Oliver. Like, I've seen enough of Isaiah Oliver. Talked about it last week. I'm talking about it now. If Steve Wilks trots out a defense that features Isaiah Oliver in the slot, who over the last 4 games has given up 8 catches on 8 targets, and for this year has been the second worst cornerback in all of football, I will have problems. And hopefully, going back to the practice windows being opened up for Samuel Womack and Darrell Luter Jr., we're not going to see any more of Isaiah Oliver because he has been an issue for this Niners defense. If you're excited for the return of Niners football, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video, man. San Francisco coming off the bye week, big game, traveling to Florida, cross country to take on the Jags. We're going to be doing another watch party for this matchup. You already know, and you look at the betting odds early on here, San Francisco, field goal favorites. The over-under set at 45. It's always good to be favorites on the road. San Francisco has to win this ball game. Up next, the return of Deebo Samuel. Some positive injury news here for the Niners. Back on the practice field on this Monday after missing the last 2 3/4 games because of a shoulder injury. And I think that the Niners have missed Deebo for several reasons. Obviously, he's a game breaker. Anytime you get the ball in the hands of Deebo Samuel, he's the threat to take it to the crib. So the game-breaking aspect changes the look and the feel of this offense and how they are defended. How many times have we seen Deebo turn garbage into gold? What I mean by that, looks as though when he gets a carry out of the backfield, no gain. Oh, in a blink, he's taken off for 20 yards. Or he catches a bubble screen, makes a couple of guys miss, he runs through your ass, and he picks up the first down. Those easy first downs, something that San Francisco can really, really use as they look to get back on track on the offensive side of the ball. And for Brock Purdy in this red zone offense, think about the weapon that Deebo Samuel is there, but also the weapon that he is from 20 to 20 as far as the yard lines go. You utilize him between goal line to goal line, and he can make some special things happen. He does help improve the run game. He's another weapon for Kyle Shanahan to scheme up. And even that pre-snap motion disguise aspect that he brings to this team, that's been missed as well because that can be the indicator. Okay, is the defense playing man? Are they playing zone? The defense has to account for him everywhere he goes on the football field, and they have to follow him because of point number 1 of him being a game breaker. So when he comes back on the football field, it just makes this Niners offense that much more dynamic. The dynamic element of this offense that we haven't really seen since that game against the Dallas Cowboys when San Francisco went to 5-0 on the regular season. As far as what Deebo has done this year, somewhat disappointing because of the time missed and then the inconsistent production. 32 targets, 20 catches, 302 yards, and a touchdown. But hopefully he's in store for a monster second half of the season. That's good news on the injury front for Deebo in San Francisco. The bad news and the worrisome news, still no Trent Williams on the practice field after the bye week. Now, you think about it, right? He did come back to play against the Browns, was out against the Vikings, out against the Bengals. This is almost, at least we're approaching about a month since that Trent Williams injury. Big dude, ankle injury. But remember what San Francisco was saying? He had an opportunity to play after suffering that injury against the Browns. I thought that they shelved him to use the bye week to their advantage to allow him to rest up, but he's not a guarantee to play on Sunday against Jacksonville. Now, Monday is usually a bonus day of practice. The vet rest day is usually Wednesday. So if he's not practicing on Thursday, that could be an indication that maybe that ankle is not healed up. He's still the best left tackle in the game. And when we talk about these Niners struggles this year, defensively, offensively, turning the football over, run blocking, pass protection, those latter two, Trent Williams has an impact there. Still one of the highest graded offensive linemen in the NFL, despite his age. Overall Pro Football Focus grade of 81.9, pass blocking grade of 76.2, run blocking grade of 80.7. So that's his impact in those two phases. 196 pass blocking snaps, 6 penalties, 0 sacks given up by Trent Williams, 1 hit, and 8 pressures. You get him back. You get Deebo back, and hopefully this team, very reminiscent of the team that put up a 42-piece against this fraudulent Cowboys. Before we continue to move forward on today's show, please make sure you subscribe to the program. Niners updates every day, and as you can see, 266 people away from 100,000 subscribers. It's surreal. It doesn't feel real. We're going to get there before we know it. And maybe we can get there with this video thanks to your support. And once we get there, we're, of course, going to celebrate getting that plaque from YouTube. As I mentioned off the top of the show, today's 49ers Report is presented by Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping on the best men's grooming products at manscaped.com/49ers. Promo code 49ers for that deal to apply. Their brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra will just change your life. Below the waist grooming experience like none other. And with the Lawnmower 5.0, we're talking about a next generation trimmer with interchangeable blade heads for whatever shave your mind can imagine. Upgrade your grooming game to the Ultra Sphere this year by going to manscaped.com/49ers. Promo code 49ers. Every man knows how scary it can get when going for a close shave below the belt. That's why I trust Manscaped for all my sensitive areas. Taking it on the go, you can do that as well. Manscaped has you covered. This thing comes with the travel case and even a travel lock feature to avoid any accidental powering and or weird looks in the airport. Can you imagine you're putting your bags through security and in your toiletry bag? I promise it's just my Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. It's nothing else, I promise. The real ones now. Code 49ers, we'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of this video. Manscaped, our sponsor for today. Let's go to this next. What is Brandon Aiyuk's future with the 49ers? He's in year 4 of 5 of his rookie contract after San Francisco exercised his 5th-year option. And Spotrac put out an Aiyuk contract projection. And here's what they came up with. It's interesting because right now, obviously, the only wide receiver making more money on this roster, when you look at this deal, would be Deebo Samuel. Aiyuk's deal somewhere in the neighborhood of that, 4 years, $80 million in total money with an average annual value of $20.03 million. I think Aiyuk is still one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. He, like Deebo Samuel, is a game changer, but more of that prototypical wideout, clean route running, unbelievable footwork. I've been disappointed the last couple of weeks with some of the odd drops that he's had because I think that he's a great player and he's not playing great football right now, but he's having a really, really good season. 35 catches, 620 yards in a run-heavy offense. He has to get targeted more in the red zone. That's how those touchdown numbers, I think, can be on the uptick. He's been targeted less than 5 times in the red zone this year. That's unacceptable. With that route running, with the creativity, with the footwork, with the ability to cross DBs up, make them miss in the open field, he is a weapon. Utilize him as such, and hopefully San Francisco can figure that out during the bye week as well. A lot of you are probably saying, you can't pay Aiyuk. You're already paying Nick Bosa. You're paying Deebo, Trent Williams, Kyle Juszczyk, Fred Warner. You have to pay Talanoa Hufanga. Brock Purdy's contract is coming up. Look, San Francisco still has the most cap space in the NFL, just under $40 million. You'll probably need to backload the deal because of all of those other lucrative contracts that you've handed out, but it is possible to keep a special weapon with a special offensive mind for this offense to continue to operate at a special clip. Extensions down the road. This is kind of the timeline that you're looking at. Brandon Aiyuk eligible for a contract extension after the 2023 season. Basically, this upcoming summer in 2024, what we just went through with Nick Bosa as far as the timeline. Talanoa Hufanga was not a first-round pick. Doesn't have a 5th-year option. So he's eligible as well for a contract extension after this year as he goes into the final year of his rookie deal. And then Brock Purdy, 2 years left on his rookie deal. We'll see if he is him, if he's the franchise quarterback, and if he is going to be due a massive payday. So would you pay Aiyuk $20 million per year? Give me a P for pay, E for hell not, Chase. That is way too expensive. Let me know down below in the comment section. Another story to get to before we hop on out of here. Where has Drake Jackson been? The Niners traded for Randy Gregory. He's out snapping Drake Jackson right now. And Jackson got off to a good start. Week 1 against Pittsburgh, 3 sacks. Since then, nada. John Lynch saying, it's not a disappointing season. Here's the direct quote. I wouldn't call it a disappointment. I think he's going through some struggles that you see players go through. I would say Drake's been a little nicked up too. Been dealing with some things that have him just not feeling at full strength all the time. So I think fighting through those things. He had a tremendous offseason. And that's interesting, right? Tremendous offseason. A lot of hype around this guy, but he hasn't delivered on that hype. You also called him a very talented young man. Started the season with a bang, 3 sacks. And the second year, an interesting year for players. I've always thought that. And I think you can continue to work and throw energy and time into a guy like Drake because of what he ultimately can become. I'm high on Drake Jackson. I think he has a lot of talent. Good for him for adding the necessary muscle and weight after last year, because we literally talked about how he wore down late in the year. That's why he was a healthy scratch, not the same player at the end of the year as he was in the first. Similar story last year. Got off to a good start as a rookie second-round pick out of USC, tailed off. And now for the second straight year, we're talking about him being banged up, not being his normal self at some point as a second-round pick. When a team uses high capital on you in the draft, you have to show up. All right, Week 10 game coming up here for San Francisco. It's always kind of difficult to keep track of the numbers. I also just am not good at math. But Week 10 game coming up for the Niners here on Sunday. On the road against a good Jacksonville team that is also coming off the bye. Well coached with Doug Peterson. Good quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. Are the Niners going to get the dub? We'll talk more about this game throughout this week, but for now, get those predictions in, and don't forget to subscribe.